All right, video one, design one. We're going to do a model Empire State Building. And it's really just a mini skyscraper. And what I want you to first note about this design is that we're just sculpting it to make it look a certain style or look similar to a building, but it doesn't have to be mathematically accurate in any way, which makes it a sculpting kind of environment and not a specific engineering design type piece of work. Now, the mouse controls, being able to right click and tumble things around. Things might get really totally off on you. If you need to reorient yourself, what you want to do is just hit front or top, and then you can just pull it back down from that point and sort of get back to the angles that you're looking for. Or at that point, you can hit, if you're looking at the word top on this cube and you hit the bottom right cube, or bottom right corner of that, on the corner of that cube, it's going to bring you back to the basic orientation. So again, it's, if I flip this thing around in some weird way, look for the word top, click the corner here, and it's going to get you back to that basic orientation setup. So it's easy to get lost in this, and it's really overwhelming to learn software. So I've learned the basic little tricks are what you need to focus on first, which is why I'm saying get these mouse controls down. Pressing down on the mouse wheel and being able to slide and move things around so you can drag and deal with space as you go is super essential. So, and then rolling in and out with the mouse wheel and getting in close and being comfortable with that. You need those skills. All right. And then that you're going to note now at this point for the first time, really, this is called the modeling menu. This is a feature menu. It's actually got various names. It's really the features, meaning three-dimensional modifications. Then you have a sketch menu. If I click sketch and then pick a place to sketch on, which is something you must do, you're going to choose specifically the top. These are called planes. So the top plane is what you're picking first. And now if you look back up here, you have drawing tools instead of feature tools. So this is where you're starting off with 2D. Stacking onto all of this, the Empire State Building design is a great project because it's easy, and then it trains you on a very, very important design style thought. And everything as best you can is built in programs like this around the origin point, the center point in this virtual software in this virtual world. And it's just something that you'll get comfortable with. But center point rectangle, going into there's submenus, these down arrows, there's different kinds. It's not just circle. There's various ways of creating circles and ellipticals and all that sort of thing. So we're going into this center point rectangle tool. Now you'll see a center point in the center of that to show you that icon for that tool. These tools, what you're doing, when you turn them off, I can't do it when I'm screencasting for some reason. This software doesn't allow me to use the features of the program the way they should. I'm just going to say that out loud because it's a little bit different. I'm going to have to talk you through some things. When tools are selected, you can hit the escape key, or you can right click, which is what I'm going to have to do, and then hit escape, and then the name of the tool comes up. So if I want to turn that off, I just did. Now I have to go back here to turn it back on. And the idea here generally is to just draw out a rectangle, anything that looks like a rectangle. That's roughly the size of one of those planes, something that looks just like this. It doesn't have to be specific again. And then you take that 2D rectangle and click this button right here. It's going to be a 25 millimeter pull. You'll see that if you set the units right in millimeters to set this document up, that's going to look right. If not, it's going to say 1 IN for 1 inch, and that means you're in the American standard, and you need to go into here, my account, preferences, and update this units. Don't forget to roll to the bottom and save the changes. Otherwise, you won't see anything happen to get yourself set up right here. Okay. Now back to design. When you draw anything in this program, you're going to draw a 2D object and then turn it into something 3D, and that's a flow that repeats itself. And in this case, sketch, you're going to click on top of that block that we just created. And again, back to specifically remember, this is the center point rectangle. People are having troubles lining things because they're not using this when they first try. They miss this in the instruction. And if you go towards the center, you're going to get an indicator for the center point of the object that you're over the top of. So I'm going to get that square before I click anything, click, and then just pull out. And you don't have to be zoomed in like I just was. I did that so you can see it clearly. But then just try and look for an even spacing all the way around that. You can keep moving this around until you get what looks like a pretty even border all the way around it. And then we're going to go back up and hit this extrude button to turn it into 3D. Again, see, watch this change. When I go from here to here, all the tools change. And all I want you to do, if you look at this measurement, you can do this mathematically by punching in 75, but what I'm looking for you to do is just make this about 3 times taller than the block below it. So you're just using proportions now. So all I'm saying is you can drag this up until the height of this is about 3 times this, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Green check mark, done. Now we're going to make an intersecting sort of section for this part of the building. I'm going to want to draw on here again. So this can be done in reverse. You can pick where you want to draw first and select it, turn it orange, and then hit the button for sketch, or you can hit the sketch button, then choose. I usually end up clicking the surface and then hitting sketch. So I've got a new sketch on top of this thing. At this point, I can rotate and try and get this right, but it's a lot easier for me to see straight on top of this at this point. So if I click top, it's going to zoom it in, and it's going to make this real simple. I'm going to use the same tool. I'm not going to go all the way out to the end, but I'm going to draw a skinnier rectangle in here like this. And then I'm going to go back and use the tool again and draw an intersecting rectangle that looks something like that. Now, again, just right back up to extrude. And then you can either go again to the bottom right corner of here, top, or you can just right click and twist. I'll click top just to make it easier for you to see. And now I want this about 5 times taller than the bottom, or something along the lines of this. Again, you're just going to drag the material up and make that about, here, 5 times ish the height of the very first object, maybe 6 times, a little bit taller. So green check mark, I finished that step. Again, you can click on this top surface. Again, if you need to see it, make sure you click that top corner, sketch. I'm going to go back to top view, pull out. It's going to be closer to a square shape that I'm looking for up here for this particular extrude. Again, none of this particularly matters. Again, I can right click and I can twist this a little bit, or I can just go, it's probably best that you all go there. Again, press the mouse wheel down now to slide down so you can see what's going on is the best way to go in this moment, and pulling this up. To about maybe 4 times the size of the original. Again, we're sculpting. I'm going to do one more. This one's going to be slightly different, but not much. And I'm going to press it down here. I'll do this from a different sort of perspective. I can leave this sketch just like this also and look at it from here, get my center point, which is that square orange outline there. Click, I know it's where I want it as long as I know it's got that square there, so I can trust that it's right. I'm going to go like little thin border around the outside on this one. Center, drag out, click, to pull these up, and then draft. An angling tool is here, so when you move something out of that 2D into 3D, you can angle it. So now it's pitched out. I want to pitch it in, and I want to change this to 5 degrees and pull this up until it comes to a point. So if you press the mouse wheel down again, you can, drag it until you get. It doesn't have to be like a razor point, because if you really zoom out, you're not going to get that. And you can change depending on how big this is, you can change the angle to make it come down a little bit. So I can change this to 7 and watch what happens. It makes it a much shorter spire on the top. And actually, I went a little bit too big on the first square on that one. Watch this. These sketches turn into the 3D modeling parts. So if I go back into and double click on the sketch, how you modify a sketch is just this way. You double click on it and you'll see this is the flow. I have a sketch, I have a 3D, sketch, 3D, sketch, 3D. And you highlight over these and it'll show you what they are as you mouse over it. So I'm in sketch 5 now. double click it, I see blue lines. All I got to do is, if I want to make this smaller, grab the outside corner and shrink it down a little bit. So you don't have to just live with any of this. If you want to modify the design, again, you can go into, just mouse over these until you see the area where you drew that part light up. Double click it, so I can go back into this part if I wanted to make this a little bit longer, smaller because it wasn't right, whatever. You can do whatever you want. Okay, I can go back and modify this. If I want it a little bit shorter, I can pull that in some, hit the green check, and it updates. So you can do all kinds of different stuff with a simple sculpting sort of workflow. And the reason that it's easy to build like this is because we used a design style, whereas you're working with a center point alignment vertically, you build right from the bottom up, and everything is symmetric around this origin point in the software. And you're pulling rectangles above that, one on top of the other, and you can align lots of different things that same way. So this is an awesome introduction project. So I know it's not a perfect video, but it's definitely a great introduction and easy enough for everybody to figure out. So let me know if you have any troubles with anything by email. That's always the best way to contact me. Send me an email if you have any struggles. Thank you. Bye.